From the studios in San Diego, California, this is Mixed Up Sports on mixedupsports.com, powered by twitch.tv. Here on this Friday. It is the 27th day of May, 2016. I am Frank Marchese. Crucia's not here today, but Nick Sexton is. Bud, how you doing?
Doing good.
And we will begin today as we have done for the last couple of weeks now, and that is with the NBA, with especially starting with the Oklahoma City Golden State game from last night. Now, the expectation was, as I said on my short on Wednesday, that we knew it had to go back to it had to go back to San Francisco for Game 5. If it goes back to Oklahoma City, which it is going to tomorrow night, my expectation at least is there will not be a Game 7 in this series. Oklahoma City is going to pull this out. And the reason why I feel at least that they did not win last night was their secondary scorers, Ibaka, Roberson. Those guys did not have a good night.
I think in the back of our heads we all knew that we all know that winning at Oracle is a tough task, especially in an environment like this where the Warriors' backs are against the walls. They're playing for everything they're playing for their season. And so, we all knew it was going to be a tough game for the Thunder to try and close them out at Oracle. So, in the back of my mind, I felt as though it was going back to OKC. There was no doubt about it. But for how the Warriors played throughout this season, to stay, within 9 at Oracle, with the way that, like you mentioned, their secondary scorers and their bench really played throughout this game. I think that they played with a lot of effort. They gave it their all, and they unfortunately just gave the Warriors some open looks that they can't do again. And so
Now, go ahead.
I think that them going to OKC now, the Warriors, both times they've played in the series in OKC, have gotten absolutely demolished. And so, with that being said, I think it's obviously gonna be extremely tough for the Warriors to come back. I believe only 9 teams in NBA history have come back from a 3-1 deficit. So I think that this series really, it's all but over going back to OKC.
And typically it's been Dion Waiters who has been the star off the bench for Oklahoma City. In this case, he went 0 for 4 yesterday and didn't get to the free throw line, which we'll get to in a minute. Last night it was Morrow was the star for Oklahoma City off the bench, if you can call somebody off the bench for Oklahoma City a star last night, having gotten only 13 bench points out of 111 total. And last night was a perfect example of Durant. Even though he did get 40 points, he shot horrendously. Westbrook, 31 points. I would like a little less threes. He shot 8. But other than that, from what Oklahoma City did, you're right, they did keep it very, very close. When you're Kevin Durant and you have a shot in the last minute and a half to put the game within 1 with a 3 and he missed, that is, you still have this team very, very concerned.
Yeah, and you mentioned Dion Waiters. Throughout the postseason, he hasn't been doing bad at all. He's been averaging around 9 points a game. So to be missing that, that's ironically that's the difference in from last night's game. Him not getting a single point, minus 18 as far as plus minus goes. He did not play well at all. The Thunder really, they, like I said, they gave it their all, but I really did not like the shots that they pretty much settled for with the amount of, like you mentioned, the amount of threes Westbrook put up, and for me, the type of threes that he put up. There were some that were open that he took, but a lot of them were off the dribble or just getting enough space and chucking it up, maybe trying to answer Curry shots. But that's not his game. He's not a three-point shooter. He needs to keep driving in, and you know and it's tough when they put Klay Thompson or Andre Iguodala, who are great defenders out there. Um, but I mean that he can't settle for those 3 pointers. That's Kevin Durant's job pretty much. Where, I mean, last night he didn't do too well from the floor, like you mentioned, going 3 for 11 from three. So I mean, going back to OKC, if they take better shot selection, I think that they obviously need to play with the intensity they had in this game, but I think they can easily get past the Warriors and going back to OKC.
I mean, you look at it. You, Steph Curry shot well last night. Shot just under 50%. Klay Thompson, decent shooting night. 31 and 27 points for Curry and Thompson. Uh, we said it. Well, I said it on Wednesday after Game 4 of the series. When you have all or a majority of your starters scoring in the double digits, it's going to be very, very difficult to lose a game. That and Spates in his 8.5 minutes got 14 points for Golden State last night. All but Harrison Barnes had double digits in points for Golden State, and Adams and Roberson, at least for Oklahoma City, were the slackers last night.
Yeah, I mean for Adams at least, he's not really known as that scorer. He's more there for the defense, so I can understand that. But you mentioned Roberson, he's got to get together. Him and Waiters, they're those kind of fighting for that for the not really the shooting guard spot, but to be the Waiters needs to be that sixth man that can come in for Roberson or them both on the floor and play well. And I think that Waiters in this series, he's going to be the X factor as far as if OKC are going to dethrone the Warriors, if you want to call it that. I mean, he needs to play well, or else they're not going to win the series. That's if he has another night like he did last night in Game 6. I don't think the Thunder get it done, but with how he's played throughout the postseason, I think that they can get what they need from him. And if this series goes the way it has, the Thunder should have an easy lock up an easy trip to the finals.
Speaking of playing well, determining how your team does, I think you know exactly where I'm going with this. We've said it. All I've heard about this Toronto-Cleveland series is, it's a home team series. It's been the home team series. To me, that hasn't been the case. It's been the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry series, because when those two play well, Toronto wins. But when those two play poorly as they did last night, Lowry shot 5 for 12 with 13 points. DeRozan shot 2 for 8 with 14 points. I mean, there wasn't much beating Cleveland the other night, but those two definitely did not help.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before that they're they're the stars of this team. They're really not all they have, but they're the guys that need to come out and set the tempo for the Raptors. I mean, I've in the back of my mind, I was thinking that the Raptors, they're just not. I didn't think they had much of a shot coming into the series, but I mean, they had a very easy road to the Eastern Conference Finals, especially in the semifinals, coming against a Heat team that did not have Chris Bosh, lost to Son Whiteside in that series. I mean, they came up a depleted Heat team, and the Heat took them to 7 games. And for that to happen, I just did not have faith that they would be able to. I thought this would be a clean sweep, but I don't know if it's that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan just play better at home and are extremely inconsistent on the road. Because I mean, you said it, the home team. They've won. They've won their games in this series, but that also coincides with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry playing well. So like you mentioned, when they don't play well, it is a rough stretch for the Raptors.
That and Bismack Biyombo just completely disappeared. I mean, he shot 2 for 3 for 7 points on Wednesday night. It was just a joke. And as we said, there really wasn't much beating the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. When you pretty much have your opponent doubled up going into halftime, the halftime score was 65-34. in favor of Cleveland. When you have your opponent doubled up, you know this game is over. There's no losing this game, and then you come out at the end of the half and put up 35, and then you shut it down in the fourth quarter, which, I mean, you really didn't even need to go out there for the fourth quarter if you didn't want to. But this was a game where you got big contribution from your stars if you're Cleveland. LeBron had 23. Kevin Love led the charge, 8 for 10, 3 for 4 from 3, 6 for 6 from the free throw line, 25 points. They need Kevin Love to keep doing that. Also, Kyrie Irving, 23 points, 9 for 17 from the field. But Love, this is really the first impactful game that I can honestly say Kevin Love has played this series.
I mean, you saw right out of the gate, LeBron was trying to get Love going, because he knows they need to get Kevin Love going, or else they're not gonna do too well. And so LeBron knows what he needs to do. But what's scary for me is if you're a Toronto fan, or even the whoever comes out of the West that has to face this Cavaliers team, is that in a post-game press conference, LeBron mentioned that he hasn't had to take over a game yet. That he hasn't had they haven't been down by enough. Where
It's all talk.
I mean, it can be all talk, but if he's actually true, that I mean, I haven't really seen him really take over a game like he's
Now,
done
again,
so
he
many times.
definitely. Now, that's not to say. For me, saying that's all talk. That's not saying that he doesn't have the ability to do it. He definitely has the ability to do it. Don't get me wrong. But he's helping the team in other ways that now where he really has taken over games. As last night, he essentially took over, picked up, and threw Kevin Love the game last night. It's essentially what he did. And you look at what Kevin Love did on the offensive side, and then you look at what he did on the defensive side. Do you want to read me how many rebounds Kevin Love had on Wednesday night?
Rebounds for Love?
Yeah, that's I can't really read that number.
I believe.
Remember, this is a 6'11" power forward here.
I believe it says 2.
Yeah, that's 2. A 6'11" power forward has 2 rebounds. He got out-rebounded by J.R. Smith and Kyrie Irving, who are both shorter than 6'5", I believe. And he's 6'11".
Yeah, I mean,
It's just, and to be perfectly honest, it's a lot of it's talk, but when you get down to it, Kevin Love definitely is not known for his defense. He's absolutely horrendous playing defense. All you need to do, if you're Golden State or if you're Oklahoma City, I think Oklahoma City would do it a little bit better because Westbrook has the size and the bulk that Steph Curry doesn't have. It's just a pick and roll. Cleveland cannot stop a pick and roll to save their lives, and a lot of it is because Love is so bad on defense.
yeah. I mean, if in a pick and roll they get Love isolated, I mean that's a bucket right there. He's he's not great on. Not even he's not great, but he's terrible on defense. You can't leave him on the perimeter with anyone. So, like you mentioned, a pick and roll, perfect. But as far as LeBron taking over a game, he can take it over by assisting. But what I'm waiting to see is when it comes time for LeBron to really take over a game with his scoring presence, because we all know that he's capable of doing that. We all know how great of a player he is. I mean, it's gotten to the point where we just expect him to put out these amazing performances because of his skill set. And so, I mean, that's what I'm waiting for. Is that clearly there hasn't been a time where he's needed to. Because when he really turns it on and starts to score pretty much at will, that is a fun thing to watch when LeBron's driving to the basket.
And it's fun until he's doing it against your team. We'll take a quick break and be right back after this. We'll give you the final votes for all of the NBA awards: first team, all defensive team, rookie of the year, MVP, which you already knew, coach of the year, most improved player, sixth man of the year, and defensive player of the year. All of that coming up when we return back after this. Don't go away. All right, we're back, and it's time to go over the NBA voted teams. And of course, first is the big one. We'll do the NBA first team. As far as I'm concerned, looks okay to me. Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, DeAndre Jordan, which was really the only confusing one. Steph Curry gets unanimously voted in because Steph Curry, and Russell Westbrook. The DeAndre Jordan, that doesn't that's odd for me. I don't get it. But then again, I can't really think of somebody who would replace him.
Now, real quick before we move on to the second team about that, of DeAndre Jordan getting in. I mean, I 100% disagree with this pick. Because as you'll find out in about 10 seconds, DeMarcus Cousins, who was a second team center, for his stats compared to Jordan, I mean it is night and day. DeMarcus Cousins nearly 27 points, while DeAndre Jordan is getting like 13.
Again, that's not DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan's that big alley-oop slam center, though.
I know, but I mean everything else, rebounds, DeAndre Jordan's just like 2 rebounds, is averaging around 2 rebounds more than DeMarcus Cousins, and pretty much everything besides the rebounds and blocks, it's going DeMarcus Cousins' way, especially that huge gap in points per game. And so, in my opinion, I think DeAndre Jordan got or DeMarcus Cousins he got snubbed from the first team, in my opinion.
That I mean, it was close between the centers. I mean, only 6 or 7 points separated the two, so definitely very, very close. Second team, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, as you said, Chris Paul, and Damian Lillard. Don't have a problem with that, to be honest. Third team, you got Paul George, LaMarcus Aldridge, Andre Drummond, Klay Thompson, and Kyle Lowry. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Paul George hurt for a lot of this year?
Yeah, yeah, he was for I believe most of the first half of the season.
So why is he there?
I mean, granted, he was out for a lot, but when he came back, he did play well, so I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Um, but as far as for all first teams, what I'm surprised about is that James Harden he didn't get in there. I mean, granted, he was uh, I guess the first
He was
place
the
in
he was
the
the leading vote getter that did not get into one of the teams.
yes. I mean, I guess I see that, but I think he should have made it. But then I struggle with who do you take out. So
He didn't get a first team vote. When you're looking at guys like Anthony Davis, who got a first team vote, Al Horford got a first team vote, Hassan Whiteside got a first team vote, Pau Gasol got two. I mean, to think he didn't get a first team vote in that.
yeah, I think he definitely should have gotten at least a first team vote. But I think he should have made at least maybe third team. But then again, like I said, you struggle with who do you take out from that. So
Yeah, true. So we go to the NBA all defensive teams now. Kawhi Leonard, Draymond Green, again, DeAndre Jordan, Avery Bradley, and Chris Paul get NBA all defensive first team. Second team will be Paul Millsap, Paul George, Hassan Whiteside, Tony Allen, and Jimmy Butler. Again, Paul George getting in there probably where he shouldn't.
yeah, that's another questionable one. But for me, the most questionable one is again, it's gonna sound like I have a problem with DeAndre Jordan in general, but I mean, with him getting in for Hassan Whiteside, as far as the Defensive Player of the Year award goes, he was third in that voting, and DeAndre was fourth. So I mean, I'm just questioning the logic as to how the fourth place in Defensive Player of the Year is in the first team for defensive, while the third is in the second.
You got me. That's the voters. To the NBA rookie team, finally, my New York Knicks get some love. Karl Anthony Towns and Kristaps Porzingis both get voted to the NBA All-Rookie First Team unanimously. Then it was Devin Booker, Nikola Jokic, and Jahlil Okafor. get the first team: Justice Winslow, D'Angelo Russell, Emmanuel Mudiay, Miles Turner, and Willie Cauley-Stein get the second team. I'm just happy that finally, one of my Knicks gets a little bit of love.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I'm perfectly fine with this list. Don't have any problems with it. Hey, Kristaps Porzingis, if you're Knicks, if Karl Anthony Towns didn't have just a ridiculous rookie year, you might have won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, right. Jerian Grant actually got a second team vote too from the Knicks, but here's the name that I didn't realize was not on there until I just seen it now. Frank Kaminsky,
Hmm.
not there. That's interesting to me. He missed out by 3 total points from beating out Willie Cauley-Stein. I think he probably could have.
There's definitely an argument to be made to put him in there, but I mean, it's tough. It's tough to there these great rookies out here. So
It definitely has been. Going to that, we go to the Rookie of the Year. Unanimous vote here. Karl Anthony Towns wins it over Kristaps Porzingis, who won the second place pretty much unanimously over Nikola Jokic. Those were the top 3: Devin Booker, Jahlil Okafor, Justice Winslow, Emmanuel Mudiay, Miles Turner, and D'Angelo Russell, all earning votes. But in the end, it was Towns, Porzingis, and Jokic who ended up getting the top 3.
I mean, like I said, Towns, he just had a ridiculous rookie campaign this year. I believe if you look at the Rookie of the Month, I mean, he nearly took every single award home for Rookie of the Month. It was
Well, then again, he's playing in the West, which is not really a rookie-filled conference.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, that there's definitely arguments to be made for that, but I mean, it still, I believe he's averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds over both those marks. He had a great rookie campaign. This is very deserving for him.
MVP, we all know. Steph Curry wins it unanimously over Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. Coach of the Year, for some reason, is Steve Kerr over Portland Trailblazers head coach Terry Stotts, and then, of course, the great Greg Popovich. Now, here's the one that has us both confused. Most improved player. Typically a player that had a bad season the year before and turned it around the year after. Okay. CJ McCollum won Most Improved Player of the Year for the Portland Trailblazers. Very good. Kemba Walker finishes second. I'm not going to hurt myself. You're going to have to, from the Milwaukee Bucks.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Sure. But the one that has us in a tizzy is who finished fourth. Now remember, this is for players who had a bad season last year that rebounded this year. Fourth place, Stephen Curry. Why?
I mean, I guess there's an argument to be made where he improved quite. I mean, by a large margin from the year before. I mean, he last year averaging 23.8 points per game. This year, just around 30. But I mean, at the same time, you look at the stats. He's attempted 3 more 3-pointers per game this season compared to last season. So I mean, especially if you won the MVP last season, I don't think you can even. I don't think you're even eligible to win the most improved
No,
player.
I don't understand. I really don't. The fact that he was even in the discussion, to me, is a joke. Jamal Crawford wins his third career Sixth Man of the Year award, his second in 3 years, ahead of Andre Iguodala and Enes Kanter. Again, no objection from me on that one. And the Defensive Player of the Year, Kawhi Leonard ahead of Draymond Green and Hassan Whiteside. Pardon me. again, no no objections from me here.
Yeah, I mean Kawhi Leonard easily the best defensive player in the league, as he's very deserving of this title and this award. He can lock pretty much anyone up on the perimeter, and I mean that he's one of the few that can really contain Curry if you D him up one on one. And so we talked about the Warriors, but I mean, and another good defensive player on that team is Draymond Green. But we talked about him on Monday's show about how he definitely should be suspended for his kick to Steven Adams in the groin area. Word came out he wasn't suspended. I believe only got a $25,000 or $50,000 fine. One of
Which was a joke.
which I mean, for players nowadays, it's a drop in the bucket. It doesn't even really hurt them financially. So I mean, it's even less than a slap on the wrist, really. And the reasoning behind them not suspending him is what just blows my mind. Is that they say that's part of his game, him flailing his legs after taking a shot.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. Something that's illegal. If it's a part of his game,
So
that's not.
if punching somebody in the face is a part of my game, am I going to get suspended for it?
Yeah, I mean it's that. Sure, it can be a part of his game. That doesn't mean what he's doing isn't wrong. It's still illegal. Just because he does it all the time doesn't mean that it's an excuse. And so then the NBA is basically saying, you know what? It's part of your game. Go around kicking people. And even last night, there was two instances where he nearly kicked Westbrook in the face, and then his legs went up as far to kick Kevin Durant in the face. It was just Kevin Durant wasn't in the right position. And so for him not to be suspended for that, that's ridiculous. That they did upgrade his foul to a flagrant one, which put him one flagrant point off of being suspended for the next game. And then I believe in game four, game four, he trips Enes Kanter, which by the NBA's flagrant one definition, it's unnecessary contact committed by a player against an opponent. The opposing team is awarded 2 free throws in possession. The specific example that they gave for a flagrant one foul is a player intentionally tripping
Kicking somebody in the groin. Oh.
which which is the exact thing that happened with him and Enes Kanter. And he didn't even get a flagrant foul. I mean,
No, it's a part of his game. Don't worry about it.
it's ridiculous that even something that is literally the textbook definition of a flagrant foul wasn't called for Draymond Green. I mean, it's hard to say that the NBA isn't favoring the Warriors at this point because there's so many things that Draymond Green and the Warriors have gotten away with where he should be suspended for the rest of the series at this point if you want to get some retributions for what he's done. I mean, if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to get even more frustrated with how this is going. I mean, if the Thunder lose this series somehow, you can blame the NBA for it because Draymond Green shouldn't have played in last night's game. He shouldn't play in the next game. Whatever it is, he should not play in. There should be one game where he has not played the series, and he hasn't. He's played in every single one of them. Granted, in Game 4, didn't play well, but I mean, it's still the fact of the matter is that he shouldn't be out there. He shouldn't be pumping up his team. He should be suspended.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. But the thing with this is, you got to think it's the conference finals. It's the conference finals. Winner of this goes into the NBA finals. I know this should be a deterrent to keep players from doing stupid stuff like that. But as far as the NBA is concerned, you got to keep your big money players on the floor. You really do. Like I said, I don't think it's right that they're doing it like that. But it definitely has to be the way that they're thinking. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. All right, we're back. Not too long to go before we end the show here. And, of course, with the NHL season wrapping up now with the Stanley Cup Finals booked, we will get to that in just a second. But today, the rosters for the first ever World Cup of Hockey was released. This competition will be played next year, before next season. just looking at the rosters, forwards for Team USA will be Justin Abdelkader, David Backus, Ryan Callahan, Brandon Dubitsky, Patrick Kane, Ryan Kessler, TJ Oshie, Max Pacioretty, Zach Parise, Joe Pavelski, Derek Stepan, James Van Riemsdyk, and Blake Wheeler. Defensemen for Team USA, Dustin Byfuglien, John Carlson, Eric Johnson, Jack Johnson, Ryan McDonough, Matt Niskanen, and Ryan Suter. Goaltenders suiting up for Team USA will be Ben Bishop, Jonathan Quick, and Corey Schneider. For Team Canada, Team Canada. Oh, there we go. Jamie Benn, Patrice Bergeron, Jeff Carter, Sidney Crosby, Matt Duchene, Ryan Getzlaf, Claude Giroux, Brad Marchand, Tyler Seguin, Steven Stamkos, John Tavares, Jonathan Toews, and Joe Thornton. Burns was also added to that as well. I don't think I mentioned him on the list. Oh, there he is. Okay. Defenseman Brett Burns, Drew Doughty, Duncan Keith, Jake Muzzin, Alex Pietrangelo, Mark Edouard Vlasic, and Shea Weber will be the defenseman for Team Canada. Goaltenders for Team Canada will be Corey Crawford, Braden Holtby, and Carey Price. Because I am who I am, New York Islanders that are going are John Tavares, obviously. Both Yaroslav Halak and Thomas Greiss will go. They will play for Team Europe since so many countries that play hockey, still not enough to make a team. So they're going to do that. I believe Nikolai Kulemin is going for Team Russia for some reason. I guess they're running out of players. Beyond that, I don't think there are any more. I know there's a pretty decent amount of Anaheim Ducks that are going, LA Kings that are going, a couple New York Rangers that are going, especially for Team Canada and Team USA. Henrik Lundqvist, of course, going for Team Sweden. So a lot to look forward to coming up for the World Cup of Hockey. But now we'll start with the Stanley Cup of Hockey, which is what the goal for all of these teams is at the end of the season. And we found out last night who will be playing for said Stanley Cup, and go figure, it is probably one of the better teams in the West all season long, in the San Jose Sharks, playing in their first Stanley Cup against probably the hottest team in the NHL right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, and this you do not want to go up against a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins. You know, even though the Lightning didn't have their goalie in Ben Bishop, he was out, I believe, after game 2 or 3 with with Andrei Vasilevsky in relief for him. But I mean, last night's game against them, against the Penguins against the Lightning, in this game, it was. I mean, if the Penguins didn't win this, it would be. I mean, it would be a tragedy with 39 shots on goal compared to 17 for the Lightning. I mean, if you're putting that many shots on goal, one has got to go down, and 2 actually went down for the Penguins, and they were able to beat the Lightning 2-1. And in this game, I mean, or in this series for them against the San Jose Sharks, you mentioned the Penguins being probably the hottest team in hockey. For my early pick for the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm gonna go with the Penguins. I think Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, I think they get it done and they bring home a championship to Pittsburgh.
This would be their second one, I believe, if they were to. For me, I'm going to put my money on the San Jose Sharks. To be perfectly honest, I think this is going to be a six-game series because at some point, this hot run for Pittsburgh has to slow down. It would be nice to see Martin Jones, first-year starting goaltender, Martin Jones, who's the backup goaltender for the Kings for a couple of years, actually, unfortunately, was in attendance as he got his first career NHL shutout against the New York Islanders. Go figure. 2 years ago as a backup for the Kings after just coming up. Last year he was their backup for the full season, and this year became the full-time starter after they traded Antti Niemi. San Jose has had one heck of a team this year. They've played one heck of a season. All of their stars, Brett Burns, Pavelski, Couture, of course, Thomas Hertl, and of course, like I said, Martin Jones. These guys have definitely put the team on their shoulders this year and have really taken the workload off of veteran players like Joe Thornton and like Patrick Marleau, who I believe are experiencing this both for the first time very late in their careers. So this is definitely going to be a fantastic series to watch. And for me, I believe it is going to be the San Jose Sharks in 6. Both of them come into the Stanley Cup Finals with a playoff record of 12-6. So these are two very evenly matched teams. San Jose is scoring a little bit more than Pittsburgh is right now, but we will soon see who will take home Lord Stanley's Cup. The Stanley Cup Finals will start on May 30th. It'll be Pittsburgh home first. So first 2 games will be at Pittsburgh on Monday, May 30th, and then Wednesday, June 1st. Game 1 will be on NBC. Game 2 will be on NBC-SN. Then you go Saturday, June 4th, will be game number 3 in San Jose. Game 4 will be on Monday, June 6th. And then if needed, Game 5 will be Thursday, June 9th. And then expect, I would say, the 11th will be Game 6. So it's definitely spread out, and we, fortunately, will be doing a show that day so we can break it down properly for you. But Nick, right now, I do believe you have some baseball scores for us.
Yes, from yesterday, Thursday, May 26th, we'll start out with the Pirates defeating the Diamondbacks 8-3. The Marlins just destroying the Rays 9-1. The Blue Jays defeating the Yankees 3-1. The Nationals beating the Cardinals 2-1. The Rockies defeating the Red Sox 8-2. Crucial would not be happy about that. The Brewers,
especially now that they've fallen to 2 games back in the NL East, or the AL East rather.
Yeah, they got to keep up. The Brewers defeating the Braves.
Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry. I read that wrong. They're 2 games up. My bad.
Oh. Then hopefully they don't lose the lead.
Yeah, no, I definitely read that wrong. They're 2 games ahead of Baltimore. I thought I saw Baltimore ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No problem.
I'll be over if you need me.
The Brewers defeating the Braves 6-2 again. I mean, kind of almost a formality for them to win, for the team that's facing the Braves, just to win, because we all know it's going to happen. The Astros defeating the Orioles 4-2, and the White Sox-Royals game was postponed due to rain.
Which leads us into today's scores, and more rain messing with teams as the Chicago Cubs and the Philadelphia Phillies are in Wrigley Field. They are currently in a rain delay. I believe they're actually just about to get going again. Washington, St. Louis, getting ready. All these games starting at 7 o'clock. Washington, St. Louis, Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, Cleveland. The New York Mets are at Citi Field to host the LA Dodgers, and the New York Yankees are down in Tampa Bay to take on the Rays. 7:30 start. The Atlanta Braves are at home to lose. I mean, to play the Miami Marlins. 8 o'clock start. Pittsburgh Pirates playing the Texas Rangers. The Milwaukee Brewers hosting the Cincinnati Reds. The Kansas City Royals hosting the Chicago White Sox. 8:40 start in Colorado as the San Francisco Giants, who right now are as hot as a pistol, go into a very favorable ballpark for them in Colorado. The San Diego Padres are in Arizona at 9:40 Eastern Time. All of these now 10 o'clock starts. The Detroit Tigers are in Oakland to take on the Athletics. The Houston Astros taking on the LA Angels, and the Minnesota Twins taking on the Seattle Mariners at Safeco Field in Seattle. And if you are a fan of racing, this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is the biggest one you're going to get. Formula One is in Monaco for the Grand Prix of Monaco, their biggest race of the year, followed by at 1 o'clock, followed by the 100th Indianapolis 500. And then at 8 o'clock, I believe I believe 6 o'clock Eastern Time, will be the Coca-Cola 600 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So if you are a racing junkie, this is the Sunday to watch. This is the biggest racing day of the year, bar none. We'll give you all of those results when we come back on Monday. Thank you very much for listening. For Nick Sexton, I'm Frank Marchese. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.